So it's kind of a point where we can agree to disagree, but I wish you would understand, and I wish you would acknowledge that...
Yeah, well, I'm not going to agree to disagree with something that's not logically argued. You don't provide any logic for this presumption that nature knows what it's doing, that we should benignly not look underneath its skirt, because there's no mystery under there. No, we can look under the fucking skirt, and we can try to figure out what the fuck is this fucking beast that is controlling our destiny.
You acknowledge people's rights to make their own decisions in certain respects. Why couldn't I make this decision? Why couldn't I judge that?
It's a matter of responsibilities first, as I've explained. Yeah, rights are what you have when you've fulfilled your responsibilities. All right? And the point is that decisions have to be made. Societies decide that individuals acting on their own accord and deciding when it's time to have to impose justice is not valid. I can't murder somebody because I think they did something worth killing them for. All right? And just as that is defined by a society will define other things that are in its best interest, in the best interest of civilization. So if the society as a collective, the majority of that, a substantial majority of that society decides that something is in the best interest of the conscious organism, yeah, so what? Yeah, that's the game. We have to, you're going to say that we're all individuals and we can all define what our rights are. Fine, you can say that, but as a practical matter, it's not going to mean anything when the majority says no.
While that I want to spend some of my time in reality, that I don't get. I also don't get.
Yeah, well, I'll explain it to you again. Like I said, in my opinion, virtual reality is of no value if it does not fix the risk that reality, natural reality, presents life with. So if you're arguing that we can have both worlds, 6.5 billion people in reality and 6.5 billion in virtual reality, or 3 billion and 3 billion, or some other equation, I'm going to say to you, no, there's no point in doing it. I won't vote for it then. All right, because then it's just a candy bar, and it's more likely to be abused because, as I've stated, the people in virtual reality will not be productive. They will not be producers. So something's going to have to be, something will likely get compromised to maintain them, and it'll be privilege or some other standard that decides who gets to be unproductive and who stays in the real world and has to work their ass off. So that's the equation that doesn't fucking work. All right, it's either all or nothing, and if it's not going to be all, then I wouldn't vote for it.
Demonize certain human experiences when you refuse to deify the complementary positive experiences. We should neither demonize...
Well, you can keep saying they're complementary. It's a completely arbitrary statement by you. I say donuts are worth $10. It's okay, so you've made the decision that a donut's worth $10. You haven't provided any logic explaining why the donut's worth $10. You just subjectively said to me, it's all complementary. It all balances out. Well, you didn't demonstrate how those scales balance out. I can make the opposite argument and say, no, and I have made it, and I won't detail it here, but if you look at some of my past videos, I go through this explanation that deprivation creates a negative, that this is a zero-sum game. The donut can never be worth $10. All the donut can be worth is the elimination of an anti-donut. Okay, it's not possible to for our satisfaction to compensate for some other deprivation. All right, because the satisfaction itself is made out of removal of deprivation. All right, so you can't use the same positive twice. You can, you can subjectively, you can emotionally, you can as a heroin addict make that equation. I'm arguing that logically you can't make that equation.
Nor deify these experiences and just take them for what they are. And they're not an objective truth thing.
Yeah, well, whatever. You can say they're not, and I can say to you that there might be some point where an intelligence is reached that can comprehend a rational equation and define true value and appreciate at least a realm, at least know for certain things like the satisfaction a cat feels when you pet it would not be worth 5 million human beings having a nail driven through their head. I mean, we can certainly define the absolute ludicrously inefficient and impractical scale weighing, okay? We can do that much, so we can at least narrow this realm. We might not be able to explicitly ever state what the absolute truth is, but we can certainly define it within a probability of success, a range. All right, and I'm really going to argue that your subjective, completely illogically based statement that there is parity or equality in the amount of suffering and the amount of pleasure in the world is just subjective, wishful thinking, and has nothing. You have provided nothing to explain why such a perception of parity exists in your brain.
Things that smell do not objectively fall into some evil category. They're just your biology deciding what it thinks, what its guess is about what's healthy for you or not.
Yeah, well, I don't let a DNA molecule, that's where I've actually become intelligent enough to know that a DNA molecule is not the book I'm going to read. That's not where I'm going to go to find out whether something's right or wrong, all right? I'm going to go to an intelligence, a rational, reasoning intelligence, one that's got a substantial knowledge base and has some hope of understanding reality. A fucking molecule has no fucking hope.
Yeah, so the other detail is just on this forced sterilization, what I was saying about seeing my...
Yeah, well, why you know, you paraphrase the argument as forced sterilization. When did I ever use the words forced sterilization? And if I did, I've already contextualized them with the explanation that the purpose would be that there would not be a growing population outside of virtual reality. And so if you had replacement population outside of virtual reality, over time that would die out, and the problem I see would be resolved. Okay, there'd be no potential for some recreation of another starving, exploitationist world out in your reality. Okay, and the whole, like I've said it 4,000 times, but I'll say it again. The value of virtual reality is to eliminate the deprivation. If you're going to still maintain the deprivation outside of virtual reality, then you've accomplished nothing.
Point is that I enjoy reality. I get something from reality. I don't see how you can force my sterilization. This is not the kind of thing that can be forced with the majority vote. You cannot take...
Oh, so if the majority of the world's population said one day that our population is unsustainable, we can't keep growing, and so we have to have replacement population, no more growing population, and they required you to have a voucher system, say, where each person had a replacement voucher, and that if they wanted to have more than 2 kids for a couple, that they would have to secure vouchers from somebody else, either through negotiation or purchase or whatever. That would be, in your opinion, unacceptable, right? There's no acceptable way to tell the human race they can't unsustainably eat their own survival, their own future. There's no way a society can come to that rational conclusion that they have an unsustainable problem and that they should do something about it. That's unacceptable to you, right? Fuck you. You're just a menace to civilization when you can't accept the boundaries of practicality. It is impractical to think we can continue to grow population on this limited ball, this limited resource, finite biosphere. You are an idiot.
That seems to be pretty clearly, you know, my right as an individual to decide for myself whether I'm going to procreate. So
yeah, why? Why is it your right to impose life? So it's not my right to impose death. You'll admit that. You'll say it's not my right to stop somebody from living. But you can force somebody to live. You can impose life on somebody without asking their permission. Why aren't those two questions at all balanced? All right, because you're an optimist, that's why, right? Because you can assume all the positives you want about the life you're going to create, and anybody who might have any sort of apprehensions about the potential negatives is somehow trespassing. Fuck you. We have a right to be concerned. We have a right to control the environment we have to live in as a collective, as a society. That's just the way it works, Pyro.
Understand why you think, or do you think that in all cases that a majority can decide any of these things? Can a majority rightfully decide to take away the civil rights of a minority? Is that what you think?
Yes, damn right. Okay, it's not a civil right to overpopulate planet Earth. you dumb asshole. It is not a civil right to put the whole civilization in jeopardy. You should be able to understand that equation.
Think, Manham? Because if so, I'm quite concerned.
Yeah, well, be concerned all you want. I'm more concerned about your kind. Your kind has been running the world for 10,000 years. And now we have 6.5 billion people, and most of which who live in shit. And you think the solution is, I'll give them a hamburger every day. I can give them a hamburger every day. Well, what you can't give them is a life, a house, a suburb, a manicured lawn, all the conveniences and all the niceties that you live with. You can't give them. There isn't enough fucking fuel on this planet to give them that shit. And as I stated before, there's not enough labor to do the work to create that shit. So they exist in shit by your fucking choice.